brainstormed your book, you're ready to write. Not so fast. You have a few big decisions to make first. Perspective, point of view, and verb tense. It's really worth it to take a few minutes to figure out these three elements. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of time and you're probably going to have to rewrite your book. Hello, I'm Kim Purcell, and this is the Busy Writer Workshop. If you get confused between perspective, POV, you're not alone. Lots of people get confused about these things. Perspective is whose eyes we're looking through. Who is describing whatever's in the scene? What opinions are you giving? Whose brain are you inside of? We need to know that, and that is usually your narrator. Now, if you have an omniscient POV, that will be an external narrator. But I'm not going to recommend that for most of you. I want you to think about a main character who you can closely identify with. Most books are told from the perspective of a single character, or you might jump from one character to another. That's going to be separate from point of view. All right, so to figure out perspective, just think about which character is most affected by the story. Who do we care about the most? That's whose brain you need to be in. That's whose body you need to be in so that you can tell us what they smell, what they're touching, what they're stepping on. All of that is so important for a story. And also their perspective will be how they see it. What are their emotions and how does that affect what they're seeing? If you're going to tell multiple perspectives, just remember that every perspective has to be equally compelling. You can alternate perspectives, but usually one is going to be so much better. In fact, this just happened to me. I was jumping between the younger sister and the older sister's perspective, and the older sister I didn't nail it. Even though I've written a lot of young adult novels, the voice of that younger sister was just so much more compelling. Just know it's very hard, especially when you're alternating them in the actual writing. It might work best just to write one perspective first and then jump in and write the next perspective. And also, once you finish that first perspective, you might find you don't need the second perspective. Now let's turn to points of view. There are 5 different points of view. Number 1, the first and most popular one, is first person point of view. That's when you use I or me. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, a first person point of view. This is from I'll Give You the Sun by Jan D. Nelson. In this particular book, there are 2 perspectives. It jumps back and forth between a brother and a sister. This is how it begins. With Zephyr and Fry, reigning neighborhood sociopaths, torpedoing after me and the whole forest floor shaking under my feet as I blast through air, trees, this white-hot panic. This sounds pretty terrifying. Number 2, second most popular, third person limited. It's very similar to first person. You're in the character's body as the writer. You're looking out through their eyes and you're telling everything with their opinions, their heart, their personality, but you're using he, she, they, or their name. A lot of times when people say, well, if it's third person POV, I don't show thoughts or feelings or anything. Of course you do. Even with omniscient, you have to. But this is third person close where you're really inside that body of that main character all the time. I'm going to give you an example from my first novel, Trafficked. I actually tried to do first person for this book, but it really didn't work because the main character is Russian. So it ended up sounding quite American, and her native language would be Russian. And I was going to be using a lot of idioms that are Russian idioms, but putting it in English, of course. So when you use colloquialisms and slang words that are really American slang words, it just didn't work. So I stuck with third person close. She was in a large white room with a line for people like her and another line for people who belonged. The people who belonged laughed and slouched, wore clothes that fit their bodies and smelt of milk, dry cleaning, and deodorant. The people who didn't belong stood upright, unless they couldn't, wore dressier but older clothes, and smelt of body odor, hot sauce, fish, garlic, and cheap perfume. So I'm really in her body, and I'm using third person. Now let's turn to first person omniscient. That's when you have this external narrator who refers to themselves as I, and then they're telling you a story about other characters. We get a lot of that narrator, but the whole purpose of omniscient, whether it's first person omniscient or third person omniscient, is that you get the perspective of different characters, even within the same scene, with this centralized outside narrator. You're still showing thoughts in that omniscient narrator and also in the other characters. So it's super hard. This is why I don't recommend any omniscient, especially if it's your first or second book. Just look at an example of this. Book Thief, amazing book, incredible, beautifully written. Death is the first person narrator. And death dives into the heads of all the characters, and death can carry us to different locations. We are mostly with the main character, Liesel, but we get to see other people as well. Death is watching Liesel. She's beside the railway line. This is the first person narrator of death watching her. First up is something white, of the blinding kind. Some of you are most likely thinking that white is not really a color and all that tired sort of nonsense. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is. White is without question a color, and personally, I don't think you want to argue with me. That's death. No, not arguing. Okay, but then I want to show you one more thing. The narrator jumps into the head of Liesel, our main character. Still in disbelief, she started to dig. He couldn't be dead. He couldn't be dead. He couldn't. Those are her thoughts. So we have the external narrator and then boom, into her brain. Number 4, omniscient third person. Same thing. You have this external narrator, but they're not quite so in your face as a separate entity. But they are jumping into everybody's brains. Think of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Let's look at an example of jumping into one brain. Mary wished to say something sensible, but knew not how. Then the narrator pulls out, and then we get the man's perspective. The astonishment of the ladies was just what he wished. That of Mrs. Bennet perhaps surpassing the rest. We're jumping heads. And do you see how hard that is to not confuse your reader? It really takes an expert touch. So if this is your first book, I beg you, please just learn how to tell a story from one perspective. It's really hard, even just to do that. The 5th POV is second person. This is very rare because you have to use you, and you is the perspective of the main character. That's the perspective you're looking through. Let me give you an example of that. This incredible Prince Award-winning novel, Damage, by A.M. Jenkins. It's all yours. The ball bumbles against your fingers, it lurches away, and that beautiful spiraling pass ends its life in a series of ugly bounces across the field. Then there's just that football, untended on the grass, just that, in your empty hands. When you open your eyes, that joyless feeling has already crawled into your chest. Okay, we're really in the character's body as they're fumbling the football. That's the main character. This is an incredibly difficult POV to write in, so I don't recommend it if it's your first book. Let's jump to your final decision, which is verb tense. Whatever you choose, it really doesn't matter. Past tense, present tense, you've just got to stay consistent. So if you've started writing your book, right now look, do you have past tense? Present tense is dance. Past tense is danced. Present tense is go. Past tense is went. If you have a hard time figuring out what is past tense and present tense, you got to learn it. It's just an important part of speaking English. Now, if you actually know what past tense is and present tense is, but you keep jumping to one tense, that probably means you started in the wrong tense. What I always get students to do is write your first page in one POV or verb tense, whatever it is. Then you rewrite it in a new POV and new verb tense. Switch it up. You could do like 4 different versions of your first page. And what you'll find, it's fascinating. You'll find that different details come out. You'll often find one, and it might not be the first one you chose, that you like better. The voice is better. More details came out, and you'll surprise yourself. So please don't skip this step. I mean, you're just a page in. Give yourself that little bit of extra time to make sure you're on a good path. Don't worry too much if it's perfect. But if you make good choices with perspective, POV, and verb tense, you're more likely to be on a good path. Just don't be afraid to rewrite. Your first draft is not meant to be your last draft. And actually, sometimes if you're not super happy with your first draft, a great way to rewrite would be to switch your POV or your verb tense. It's a really great way to see the story in a new way. I'm so happy to help you. Please reach out and ask any questions you'd like. All right, bye-bye.